Hello and welcome to another live stream. I think we're all good here. Hopefully it's not too hot on you on the sound, but yes, hello, happy Wednesday, amazing people, painting people. Whew, as Todd would say. I'm your host, Miranda. I've got with me my amazing painter Flo, the painter Flo.
Hello.
And what are you working on this week, my dear?
Well, I am back here working on your Ultramarines. But on top of that, I am also working on a slew of things, basically.
Well, you have a challenge, right?
Yes, I have challenged myself to see how much I can paint before Valhalla.
Which is 45 days away?
46.
46 days away. It's that time of the year where all the panic sets in for me. I'm like, okay, have I thought of everything? Anyway, yes. So that'll be fun. You've gotten a fair bit painted so far. I'm sure if you follow her on Instagram, you post your the neck runs that you painted there, and this lovely train piece that you also got knocked out. Which
It's not done.
It's not done, yes, but it's looking really good so far. And then yes, helping paint my Ultramarines. That's from the magazine Warhammer Imperium magazine. So we're getting enough painted there to play a 500-point combat patrol game. And going from there. So, also in
and
other...
do a proper battle report for it, too.
I was going to say, we actually got an updated mic as well this last time. So, no more weird humming noise coming from random nowhere. But yes, for a battle report, too. So, what have you all been up to? I want to know. Welcome, Chow? I'm sorry, I'm not sure how you say it. Thomas, welcome. Todd, good to see you, man. Paul, thank you as always for being here. Rebecca, appreciate you being here. The Plunder Den, appreciate you also being here. Today, no painting for me, playing solo High Command. Oh yeah! So High Command, if I'm remembering right, is the card game that Privateer Press put out for the War Machine world. I own it and have literally never played it. Todd, and his mic is working great. I know, we tested it beforehand. We actually were fortunate because, running a studio ain't cheap. And my neighbor across the street, it's very sad. He's actually having to move. But he was downsizing a bunch of stuff, and he had all these extra microphones, like a bunch. And so he's like, could you use these? And we're like, I think we could find a place for these. So... yay! It's the best kind of mic, a free one. Working on the Dreamer tonight. That's the one you want to paint really bad. Yeah. Need to get a hold of one of those for you. Mandragora, welcome. Butt kick too. Phil Collins, greater than Drake. Let's see, Rothian, I got to watch Prey the weekend after it came out. Awesome movie. All right, some positive thoughts there. Thomas got the pests painted for Riot Quests. Pics on your page, thank you. Sweet. So, Doomproof, good evening as well. So, yeah, tonight I was, we're painting, we're chatting. Flo's painting, I'm chatting. And I was going to, I figured this might be fun because I haven't had like a real deep dive movie talk in a while. And man, we've been watching a lot of movies. And it took a while before we were actually able to watch Prey. Because I didn't have Hulu, and so I signed up for one whole day so that I could finally watch it. We were originally going to watch it together, and then the timing wasn't working out, so from there it works out. Time to take a break from Lindsay Ellis to say hi and to Miranda et al. Hi, very exciting, how you doing? Miss you, man. You still need to check out our studio. Rothian, so now I'm on another Predator kick, and I'm looking around online for Predator and AVP merchandise. I liked it, Prey. Yeah, Prey, overall, sentiments, I think everybody's like, they either say, it was okay, or I liked it. I haven't really seen much on the extreme of, it's so amazing, or it's the worst movie I've ever seen. Although, it would be really hard for it to be the worst Predator movie. So, if
Predator never happened.
Sorry. If we have to deal with Prometheus, you have to deal with Predator. The Predator. So it's kind of an interesting thing, right? So Prey is the 5th movie. Let me see. We've got Predator, the penultimate. Everyone agrees. Great. Predator 2 with Danny Glover. Then the AVP
And
movie's
Bill
in there
Paxton.
somewhere. And Bill Paxton. Bless his heart.
The
Rest
only
his
man,
soul.
the only man to fight an alien, a predator, and a Terminator.
Wears you down, it turns out. And then, so the AVP movie's in there somewhere, and then Predators, which we watched last night, The Predator, and Prey. Yes. So that's like 6 movies, actually. Paul, no hobby for me today, but watched Prey earlier, and as a bonus, Jimmy is getting me Mortuary Assistant on Steam. Looks terrifying. Mortuary Assistant? Huh. What is that? Was it Gravekeeper?
That's the one that you were playing.
That's
that I
right.
really liked.
It's the really macabre, like Stardew Valley. It was so messed up. I played it for so many hours. Amber Midthunder is in Prey. She's a lovely human. That's all I know about it. She did a great job in the movie.
She's also a New Mexico actor. She's from here.
Yes, she's from New Mexico, and I think the first thing we ever saw her in was Spare Parts, which was like a small independent film with, was that a Kevin Costner flick?
I want to say it was.
Yeah.
I think it was Kevin
There was
Costner in it.
that was that era or trend of movies where Kevin Costner was just playing part of like the overcoming movies, which I will always be a sucker for. Like I always want to go watch them. So Spare Parts was a really cute independent film. I don't know if it was shot here or Texas, but it's obviously a low budget movie about these, and it's based on a true story about this very like underserved community school robotics class getting in to compete against like MIT students, and it was a lovely story. And so I guess Amber Midthunder was from there. Let's see, is Prey all about our dedication to men off? You know, War Budgets isn't even here. No.
Also, yes.
Also, yes. Wow. It's the wrong spelling.
No, it's to the totem hunter for Minions.
Let's see. Glad to hear that you let the disembodied voice out of the well. Indeed. We're talking about, let's see, I did one day in craft service on Spare Parts. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. It was shot here. Oh, see? Ryan knows what's up.
Everybody's saying Lance Henriksen fought a Terminator. What did he fight? Which Terminator was he in? Am I blanking this?
I don't immediately remember. Let's see. I am painting Captain Morgan miniature. This will be a prize for a community member. Ah, you're so involved. I really appreciate that, Blunderden. Where it was, so side note from the movie for a second. Hi, Patrick. Hi, Kitty. I did so there's another YouTube channel out there worth plugging, another YouTube War Machine channel out there called Tried and True. And one of the people who run the channel, Erica, reached out to me and we did an interview about like Mark IV and this and that. And so we were talking, one of the things that came up was talking about how important it is. It actually, you know, when you mention that, Plunderden, it makes me think of like, that's right, that's very important. If you want your game to do well, it needs to, I need to reset that. It needs to have support from actual community members. So there's that. Let's see.
You're going to have to set the focus on it too.
I think it reset it, or set back to.
No, it's like
Oh, it's doing the auto thing again. I hate this webcam so much. It's like you gotta catch it mid-focusing. All right, I will be less distracted in a second, guys. Sorry. There we go. Okay. Hello, why waste time talking about that garbage movie? Okay, so everyone except Jeremy at least thinks it's okay.
It definitely does have problems,
Jeremy
but I
said
think
he
it's a
was,
decent overall.
Lance Henriksen was the police lieutenant on the first Terminator?
Really? It's been a while since I've seen it.
I know.
How do I not remember that?
I don't know.
I used to remember the Aliens reunion in After Dark.
The
Is it-
movie after the vampire movie?
Yeah,
Oh god.
I think it was After Dark. It's the one that, what's her name, Bigelow directed when she was still with James Cameron. Just had everybody from Aliens be in it. It was great.
Rothian, Predators is my favorite Predator movie. Predators, plural, okay. Followed by AVP, then Predator 2, Prey, original Predator, AVP R, Wolf is best and only good part, and I haven't watched The Predator. Oof, you're not missing anything, except for pain and sorrow, I suppose. It's interesting that the original Predator is so low on the list, but Predators is a pretty solid movie. Like, after watching it again last night, there's like one stupid scene that I just think is dumb, but everything else I'm like, nope, pretty good. Let's see, Mandragora, movies? I thought we were going to talk about 4th edition. Like, it feels like 40K turnaround between 3rd edition and 4th. Not good since the game was so strong under 2nd edition. From 3rd to 4th from Mark 3 to Mark 4, I would argue that, one, this is necessary. Whether the launch will stick the landing remains to be seen. And I hope so, because it's been 6 years since Mark III has been out, and from Mark II to Mark III, that was like a really big getting off point for a lot of players. So I think that there is a good chance of Mark IV launching, like rekindling a lot of people. I don't see it being super fast, though. I feel like it's going to be a couple of year journey. That's my humble opinion, short version thoughts on it. Prey was meh, says Spaztech. Okay. Mac Attack, Prey and House of the Dragon were magnificent in my opinion. I have not seen House of the Dragon, but I haven't really watched any really Game of Thrones anyway. Even though I really like the board game. Let's see, Lance was also meant to have a cameo in Terminator 2, also it was cut. Very exciting. Lance Henriksen, along with Bill Paxton, are often cited as actors who have played characters that have been killed by a Terminator, an Alien, and a Predator.
But Lance Henriksen was also killed by a pumpkinhead, too.
Oh, that's right.
Bill Paxton never fought a pumpkinhead.
It's unfortunate, really. Screw the net. It's been so long I made it. Yay! Space Marines and Space Marines. Yeah, so these are the Space Marines from the Warhammer Imperium magazine. We're getting those painted up. We're getting a 500-point list ready to go. And Flo is just following the painting guide from the magazine, so we can talk about that while we play our game. I just realized I don't have this thing in the right place. I'm like totally missing out the point of my shirt. I'm representing the alien side of the AVP trend. So I was always on the alien side. Because, you know, women in swarms of things. Da-da-dun. All right, I've only seen the original Predator. I feel so behind. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about how many movies have actually been out. I think there's more, well, I guess AVP, does that count as both a Predator and Aliens movie?
So the AVP movies are kind of interesting in that I think, so the Predator movies, I think, recognize the AVP movies, but then the Alien movies, they don't really acknowledge that they were ever in any AVP
Predators.
movies.
They're too stuck on their high horse to acknowledge the Predator.
Yes. Well, because in Predator 2, there's like an alien skull on the ship, right? And they're like, oh my gosh, they're connected, and everybody thought it was super cool. Aliens has never done that. They've never acknowledged that there was anything, only Smurfs. Big giant Smurfs and xenomorphs, and that's it. Nothing else exists. Well, and humans, I guess.
You guess.
I
They're in there
suppose,
somewhere.
as an afterthought.
I really liked Predators. The Predator 2018 was just awful. I know, I was explaining that to my brother. My brothers and I got online this last weekend, and we're talking about Prey, and my older brother really liked it, and we were comparing it to the other Predator movies, and he's like, I never saw Predator 2018, and I'm like, let me tell you what happens in Predator 2018. This is the goal. This is what happens with the stupid dog. And he's like, what are you describing to me? This is like some weird fan film.
No, it's weird because the Predator dog has the face of a predator.
Yeah.
But like when you watch Predators, the Predator dogs look entirely different.
They could be a different species. I mean, there's a lot of ambiguity in the Predator world, but Predators, plural, did do an interesting, had an interesting approach in that they did try to render more of the Predator world, because you're obviously on a world they either inhabit or control. And they have, like, different types of predators. Like, they have racial wars as far as I can tell.
Yeah, the two distinct ones. Although, I think it's just a world the predators control. I don't think that's where they're from.
Yeah, I mean, it was mentioned as a game preserve, and then there was no limit. So I think the indication is that the whole planet is a game preserve. Let's see. Mac Attack. The CGI was so sad for the mountain lion, grizzly, and prey. Other than that, I found it so good. So that was interesting, too, because you and I disagreed. Like, we both agreed the CG was not great. I was upset at the CG, and he was like, it's fine. I was upset about two things regarding the CGI with prey. Other than, like, it looked cheap, and it showed. And I feel like if you are going to have a very low budget for your CG, you might just scale back on what you're doing a little bit, but clearly that was not the decision made. The snake part, even though it looked super CG, was fine. The wolf, huh?
It was small.
Well, yeah, it was a short bit. And, you know, it's kind of neat, like, oh, the snake realizes the predator's there. It doesn't know what it is, but it gets it. But then, like, the wolf or coyote, whatever it was, bugged me because that's not how especially when you have a movie that specifically understands the dynamic or that examines the dynamic between predators and prey. If you take a predatory animal and you freak it out with something that it's never seen before, like an invisible creature that just tossed you, that animal's gonna run away to live and fight another day. It's not gonna just like randomly fight for the death for some rabbit, which this one did, and so that bugged me. And it bugged me because it's specifically saying, oh, this is a predator, and this is what predators do. And it's like, no. I've grown up on nature documentaries. I know better than this. So that bugged. And then the bear scene was almost awesome. Like, chasing her around was stupid, but, like, fighting the predator was almost awesome. But when it got punched in the face, I was like, nope. I couldn't do it.
You can't punch out a bear.
No. I mean, if you see, like, you can watch YouTube videos of just bears casually just, like, ripping open locked freezers and stuff. They're so incredibly strong, and they are so incredibly, like, meaty. You know, you're not going to just punch one out. Like, maybe if you had something that it could be braced against, if you punched it while it was up against a rock, maybe, but...
I feel like I'm pretty sure I've seen videos like a Ford truck, like, hitting a bear, and the bear just sort of wanders off, like...
Oh, well, you definitely see that with bigger animals, like buck and
well,
elk and
there's
stuff.
also an awesome video of, well, I mean, there's multiple ones, but I remember seeing one of a nature photographer, and he had a guide with him, and the bear was just getting a little too close, and so the guide just kind of had this gun, this, like, pistol on his side, but he just went out there and just started scaring the bear, and the bear's like, geez, all right, fine, and wanders off. Like, that's
Yeah.
the way a bear usually behaves.
And I don't know if when you talk to Hollywood people, if they're like, yeah, but real things are boring. We're just going to pretend this is real instead. And it ends up being boring because it's really hard to get a sense of how scary the predator is if he lifts a bear over his arm, like over his body. Like,
I feel like it was probably just reverse engineered because so the predator holding the bear up over his head and the blood dripping down and sort of revealing that's the
Yeah.
cover of a comic book. That's like one of the comic books. And so I think they kind of knew they wanted that, and they're like, okay, so how do we make this happen? And I think that's
but it could have been
how
an
that
awesome
worked.
scene. Like we described, like how it could have been really cool if she just came across the bear and the bear was already like recognizing that something was standing in the river and something was wrong. Because bears are territorial. That makes sense. Why it would like
Bears
drop
have
its meat
cubs.
to go chase this 100-pound girl makes no sense to me. But
Well, the Revenant, the bear and the Revenant.
yeah.
Like, if they would have kind of gone more that route, then it would have been super believable. Just the way that he just found himself in the wrong place, and that bear was just not having it because there was a cub, and he even
Yeah.
shot the bear, and the bear's like, yeah, that's not enough.
That's
and
not good enough. Other YouTube videos you can watch. So that scene bugged me too. So the CG parts were stupid to me, even though they could have been cool. And then anything to do with the Frenchman was just like eye rolling. I just wish they weren't in the movie at all. But everything else was really cool, like good choreography. Oh well, I guess the magic hatchet, once you attach the string to it, was a little silly to me. But that's probably the most forgivable of the grievances I have.
I told Miranda that on her thumbnail that she was screwed because she hadn't tied a rope to that hatchet.
It's true. It's true. Very exciting. Oh, Lance was in James Cameron's directorial debut of Piranha 2: The Spawning. Didn't he get fired off that?
Yes, he did.
Okay. I mean, James Cameron, what a hack, right? Anyway, Paul, let's see. I think Lance Henriksen's been killed by Pinhead also. What? He's so diverse. Robotic Dragon, my thing is, and you see this with all the franchises, a movie releases and people will say, this is great. Then after a couple of years, it becomes cool to say it sucked. Like the original? Did people ever say that about the original Predator? Did people in the 80s talk about any of their amazing 80s movies in a crappy way?
I mean, there wasn't really internet forums, but I mean, everyone I knew thought that was an amazing movie, but you know, I was kind of a kid, so of course we all thought that it was an amazing movie.
And it's the original, right? Like, it's such a basic story, and I think that's where Prey was trying to come back to being like a basic story, like the first one. To, you know, it's hard to screw up basic story, if you will. And so they kept it really low key, maybe a little too much, but
sort of. It was basic, but it wasn't. It was like there's not a lot of movies that would kind of transform from one genre into the other throughout the movie. Like, it was kind of like I can't think of a lot of movies that do that. Like, it was interesting on that.
Prey transformed from one movie to another?
Yeah, like from an action film to a slasher film. Like, it really went from like the Rambo, like this team going in, blowing up, big explosions. Oh my God, we're getting it all. And then the last time you really even see that is the crazy like mowing down the jungle scene.
Oh, okay.
To the
So you're
point
talking
where,
about the first. Yeah.
and so then they slowly are kind of turned into, you know, like Arnold Schwarzenegger's The Final Girl, basically. Like, you know, they just slowly get picked off one by one, like a Jason movie or a, you know, Halloween movie or something. Like, it does change kind of the invisible stalker, you know, kind of movie.
Which actually kind of brings up there was another grievance I had with Prey, was the behavior of the Predator. Like, and I was talking to a coworker of mine earlier today about it, because he was like, yeah, I don't know why this like highly evolved, highly technologically advanced species, like alien, is running around still in its invisibility suit while fighting a bunch of people who are using like spears and bows and like, but being, you know, fighting in this brutal fashion, but then still taking advantage of invisibility and such. Like, it seems like it was still an unfair fight, even though there were some really cool scenes. Like, her brother, the main character's brother, was so good in this movie. Like, he's probably my favorite. And I
think he is everybody's favorite. Like, he's just the charismatic one.
Yeah, he really has like a great energy to him, and he's like, he feels like a good guy during the movie, and he puts up a great fight until the very end, obviously. And like the Predator having to go back into hiding, like, I don't know if the Predator would go home and get in trouble, like points deducted.
Feel like he cheated right there.
Right, he feels like he cheated, and that's like not. And maybe there's a reason for it, but it's never explained. So it just feels like that's not what a Predator does. So that was my other thing about it. Let's see, Robotic Dragon, a few more years go by, and people talk about why it was underrated. The new movie coming sucks. It happens all the time. Yeah, I mean, there's certain cycles of talk, and people will hook on to that, right? But I don't think that's everybody. I mean, obviously it's not everybody. I see what you're saying. It is trendy to talk about something in that way, like, oh, the original was always better, which isn't always the case. Or the book was always better than the movie, which isn't always the case. But because it's true enough of the time, I think people fall into it as a like assumption, maybe. Brian, I collected the whole of Aliens v Predator Dark Horse comic.
Ooh, that's awesome. I had a friend in junior high that had it, and I didn't learn about it till they had already, like, I didn't even know those were a thing until it was like on the last issue or something like that.
Man.
And I was
So
like,
are those
no.
like worth money or something now?
Oh yeah, yeah, a lot. I did get the Batman versus Predator 3 comic series.
Okay,
so
Batman
that one's
versus
pretty
Predator. That feels like a fight.
I mean, the comic was really good, and it ends up like the final showdown's in the Batcave, like, because it's able to track them all the way there. And
Well, and you
it's
know the
pretty cool.
Predator would be all about fighting every mutant and every superhero, right? Like Predator versus Captain America.
Predator versus Archie. It's real.
I feel like that one isn't worth a lot of money. You own it. Oh man. Wait, isn't Alien taking place hundreds or thousands of years in the future while Predator is contemporary?
I mean,
space.
Well, I mean, technically, one of the AVPs takes place in modern time, right?
Yeah.
Like the second AVP.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah, I believe so. It's like on Earth. I mean, it's a terrible movie, but it's.
the first one was on Earth.
What's that? The first what?
AVP.
Oh, yes, that's correct. That is right, because it's on what, Antarctica?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So both of them are in contemporary Earth.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. The imagery of the first
But-
one is so alien because they spend almost all of their time in that little underground maze thing. But yeah, that's right. That's on Earth.
Well, so the Aliens movies wouldn't have to take place at the same time as any of the Predator movies, but because the aliens have theoretically just been around a really long time, as well as the Predators, right? So
Well, technically, what
have this continuum.
Prometheus takes place before humanity even happens. So, like, that's the opening scene, I guess. Even though I'm not a fan of that movie either.
There's that. The time difference between Predator movies and the non-future settings from the Aliens films, all being centuries from now, needs to be addressed one day.
So, and Brian has the comics, and I think that honestly, they just need to make a almost shot-for-shot movie of the comic book of the Alien versus Predator. It would
That
do
be a safe
super
bet.
well.
That would be a safe
And I
bet.
know they didn't do it at the time because they're like, no, it needs to be a new story, a new script. But I feel like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings has proved that no, you can just
You did.
follow the book.
People,
It's fine.
People want to see it.
And most people, especially most normies out there that just want to see a good action movie, sci-fi action movie, have never read that comic, and so they'll be perfectly surprised. And all the, kind of nerdy fanboys and stuff like myself would just love to see that like created on the screen. So I think it's a win-win when they eventually figure out to do it.
Maybe. I don't know how that would work for rights, and if whoever wrote that original story would have to get to grant permission
well,
or be paid. Or...
Dark Horse had to get the rights from, Fox, I believe?
Is it Fox that owns it?
And so at that point, like, I assume they'd be able to just buy them back. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest.
Maybe. That stuff gets messy in a hurry. Robotic Dragon Predators came out, and people said, meh, it's all right. Then everybody said The Predator was awesome. Now everybody is on about Prey being amazing. I don't know anybody who said The Predator was awesome. Just saying.
Like The Predator?
The Predator.
I mean,
The
Because
2018.
it's not.
maybe it's like the Tommy Wiseau, like Neil Breen way that they're
Like
awesome.
they loved it because it was, I don't know, maybe. I mean, yeah. Predators, I remember people having like a pretty lukewarm opinion of it. And we were talking about that because when we saw it originally, we saw it in theaters and it was like, that's okay. Then I watched it again last night and I'm like, this is better than I remember.
Yeah.
Why is that? What was I thinking when it first came out? What was my frame of reference for it versus now? And I think it's just because there's been so many terrible movies that I
This
just
is
am like,
fair.
this is great. Side note, we saw Fall last night. The movie Fall. I think it's just called Fall.
Yeah.
And it's about these two girls. It's like an indie kind of film. These two girls, looks like it's shot in New Mexico, that climb this 2,000-foot tower that's like
Oh, right.
pretty much decommissioned, dilapidated. And man, the amount of frustration we felt watching that movie was real. It's like, let's go home and watch another movie. Need to clean this off. And it sucks because it also could have been a better movie. We were shopping that on the way back, like, oh man, if only they had done this to the character, I would have maybe not just had zero sympathy for either of them the whole time if they just maybe did this. Anyway, Shane Black screwed up his Predator movie. I would say it's pretty academic that the Predator, the 2018 one, is the worst of the Predator movies for any sort of lore, any sort of characterization. I don't remember how the CG fared compared to everything else. I've not been impressed with any of the CG. Like, the CG in Predators was also kind of cringy.
It was perfectly average,
Ugh,
but yeah.
it was not good. But, I mean, Prey's pissed me off, too. And I don't know what the budget discrepancy was between the two of them either. The one he directed, not the one he was in. Yeah. So The Predator, the 2018 one, is the one Shane Black wrote and directed, which is amazing because one of my favorite movies ever is The Other Guys, which he also wrote and directed. So, I mean, it's really like very swinging
Maybe he
level of
should do the
talent.
comedy.
Well, he did Iron Man 3, right? But then he also did Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which is also a really good movie, so I don't know.
I'm old, don't quote me. Let's see. Times where. Yes. Okay. Screw the net. I'm just gonna go. Yuata. Is that the? Is that where the Predators are from? Do you see that comment?
Yeah, I saw that. I remember I saw the comment a little earlier. I'm not 100% sure, honestly. I'm not sure where that information is from. Maybe a comic?
Robotic Dragon. I think all of them are good for various reasons, but all have some flaws. What would be the flaws in the original Predator?
Probably the biggest flaw in the original Predator is showing the ship. Because that's one of the first things you see is like this spaceship heading toward Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, like, I think it's better if you just don't know
Don't
what
know
it
there's
is coming
aliens
into it.
involved.
I know John McTiernan kind of regretted doing that.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, and so as part of the first one is like John McTiernan's a big, like character is important sort of guy. He is an actor's director too, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, he did Die Hard, but he also did like The Hunt for Red October, and he's really good. He's a really good director.
Okay. Let's see, Rebecca. The Predator movie got messed up in post-production after Olivia Munn had an issue with one of the actors in the movie. Bit of a shame it ended up as such a mess of a movie. Yeah, there's also that. I mean, now having worked on a feature, like in the acting role as opposed to just helping otherwise, it's interesting to see how different production will be from what the script was, and also knowing that's still going to be different when it finally gets edited. So what did the Predator look like as a script originally? Good question. I know Max Landis, is that the guy, the kid who wrote Chronicle? Like, he talks about how many differences can happen from when a script's originally written and sold to what's actually made at the end. He wrote American Ultra too, right?
He did.
Yeah.
Now, to a degree, I mean, Shane Black was the writer and director, and while that can change too, it's not as much as a separate writer whose script then just ends up in a production company. Like, since you are the director, you do get to still try to guide your vision a little more.
Yeah.
There, and it can still change, but not as much as like, because Max Landis doesn't direct anything; he's just a writer.
That's true.
And so for him, it would be a little different, I think.
He did make Wrestling Isn't Wrestling.
That is true, which is pretty awesome.
It is surprisingly good. Brian, I've known Amber Midthunder since she was 11, I guess. Oh, from when you met her on, presumably met her on Spare Parts. That's awesome.
Who was?
Brian.
No, who was that?
Amber Midthunder.
Oh, okay. She seems nice.
Well, he's known her since then. I said, so that's nice. I assume she's nice. I assume Brian wouldn't be friends with people who aren't nice. I might be stepping ahead of myself there. Let's see. Quote, it's a big verse, so there will be encounters of one species without the other. But even for my headcanon, xenomorphs and predators inhabit the same canon, and Prometheus and Alien Covenant didn't. Prometheus and Alien Covenant didn't inhabit the same canon between each other or between the Alien franchises, because I don't know, when they came back to Prometheus, it was taking everything that was beautiful about aliens and throwing it out to have some really weird, pretentious message. And I just feel like you really lost a lot of people.
Well, I think it's where you kind of realize Ridley Scott as more of a, he's definitely a director more than he is a writer.
Yeah, I don't know what was in his head. I mean, he's also so much older by that point he gets to Prometheus. Like, whatever's changed in his life, whatever, I don't know. But Aliens has had a very sad, like, I'm used to that IP being pretty thoroughly abused. So it's like, whatever, we had 2 good movies, I'll take it, it's fine. Let's see, Gura hate raccoons, shakes fist at them. Bears are just massive raccoons. Yeah, I suppose that's a fair point. Let's see. It also established canon predators do go after wild animals, forcing them into death combat. Yeah, I mean, whatever the predators are, right? They definitely have this very, very dominance, combative style. I swear this idea for Prey was toyed with not only 10 years ago, but back in the 90s too.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
If this came out in the 90s, I think people would have been pretty happy with it.
I mean, it's a good idea. Like, it's a really good premise for a Predator movie. I think that kind of carries a lot of its goodwill. Like, I think it has problems, but I don't think it was, executed terribly.
No, it wasn't done badly. There's just some moments that kind of throw you out of it. But I don't really blame any of the actors or particularly the writing. Like, the Frenchmen all acted like cartoon characters, which was, like, again, eye-rolling, which sucks because the rest of it's taken very seriously. And so that isn't a relieving juxtaposition. It was just a jarring one. And so I would have liked to have just seen more of the other characters. Like, didn't need the Frenchmen.
Well, it's kind of weird, too, because, like, the French were historically kind of known for keeping good relations with the Native Americans as they traveled.
Were they?
Yeah, and so them just being mean at each other for kind of no reason, even in the face of a common enemy, was just a little weird.
Yeah. It just wasn't rendered very, very thoroughly, I think. They were just like, I don't know. Because they were obviously side characters. Like, the people who really got the character development was obviously the main character, her brother.
Hawk, Mohawk guy, whatever his name was. I don't
Yeah, a
remember.
little bit. I don't even think he got a very fair shake in the movie.
No, he was just kind of mean jerk
yeah,
guy.
he was just another bully. Everyone loved the dog. Which did not look like a particularly, like, feral, like, I don't know, wild trained dog. He looked so domestic, but he was very adorable.
He looked like the director's dog or something.
Great.
I'm not sure what breed that is, but I don't know how natural that is to early North America.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did not look natural.
So,
His name was
so he stood out.
His name was Sorry.
The dog?
Yeah, that was his name.
Sorry?
It's like Saurii or something like that, but it's Sorry.
Oh.
That's how you pronounce it. Sorry.
Yeah, I feel bad. I don't remember any of the characters' names. Like, that's always trouble. It's difficult for me. Let's see, Mac Tech, did you ever see the photo of the 13-foot grizzly bear up in Alaska that went batshit crazy? He ate 2 hikers. The first hiker had shot the bear like 5 times, which just made the bear really mad.
Well, I mean,
Was that almost 20 years ago? Is that the one I'm thinking? 'Cause
I-
I remember seeing a thing like that where there's like photos of some of the campers, like the bear just, like there was a rampaging enormous bear. But I thought it was like close to 20 or so years ago.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, bears can be terrifying in a hurry. And it's funny. We have like bears that'll come down off the mountains into Albuquerque. Our friend Joel from Media Glitch, he was talking about a bear like within a mile of his house the other day. I'm convinced he washed down the arroyo because we've been getting floods. But
Yeah, people were like seeing it on their ring cams in
yeah,
his neighborhood.
just wandering around. And like they've had to close the school up by our house because
Which
a
is the
bear like
same.
wandered onto campus.
Which is the same high school in Stranger Things,
That's right, same
the California one.
But we have mostly black bears, and they're not as aggressive. Like grizzly bears are the scary ones, and polar bears. I do remember seeing the footage of polar bear.
polar bears are terrifying.
I know, and it sucks because they're so adorable. But
They're the cutest and most terrifying of the bears.
it's true, they're kind of apex right there. But I guess it was just photos of the really, really big polar bear that was like looking in the second floor window of people's houses up in Alaska or something. And you're like, yeah, what do you do with that? Because that's raw, like kind of raw nature. Because yeah, like a gun doesn't stop them the way you think. I mean, a 50 cal might, but normal, like the things that people have.
I mean, even like something like a 30-06, like a hunting rifle, can take one down if you're really hitting it where you need to pretty precisely. But if they're just running at you, man, ooh, that sounds terrifying.
Well, like the bear chasing her, I was like, she would not be alive. She would be caught.
Well, it was
They
such a
were so
weird
fast.
scene, like to begin with, like because like the bear's eating, so he's not gonna bother with her. But then when he goes after her, he wouldn't get distracted with the dog.
With the dog, I mean, yeah.
And yeah,
Again,
and
if
you
you're going to
cannot outrun a bear.
examine what the dynamic between predator and prey is, you might Google search it or something. I don't know. How do animals behave when hunting? How do animals behave when eating? I don't know. It would have been nice, but it's one of those things you've just got to say, it's just Hollywood being as uneducated as ever, but at least, like, you know, it didn't deteriorate the movie for it, or didn't pull back. Didn't diminish the movie too
Yeah,
much.
I agree.
Jeremy, yeah, she can't hit a target, then she puts a rope on it and shortens it and its range, and now she can hit everything. Yeah, that was a little bit of a weird scene. Like, I do appreciate that they had her practicing and even failing at doing things. Like, she's trying to hang with the guys and not really being able to either commit or she just needs more practice. So that stuff was fine, but yeah, when she like tied the rope to that hatchet, I think they just needed to kind of shortcut her into being more capable. It just seemed like more of a practical decision to get the story moving than anything. But it did behave. It kept reminding me of like Xena's chakram. It's like, huh, that's really effective all of a sudden. But it's fine. Roddick Dragon. Generally, you don't blast the original in a franchise. Yeah, generally. If the franchise is, makes enough of a hit to start that it warrants sequels, then yeah, people are generally not going to blast it. But there's obviously plenty of one-off movies that suck. And so people pan that just fine. It's never going to be a franchise.
It was like generally you don't build a franchise on a terrible movie.
Twilight notwithstanding. Anyway.
But those are built off of terrible books. But
which was built off
earned a lot of
terrible
money.
fan fiction of an amazing series. Because both, what was it? It was Twilight and 50 Shades of Grey. Was it 50 Shades of Grey?
50 Shades of Grey was the fanfic of Twilight.
Which was the fanfic of Buffy. So you're watching, like, when you photocopy something, and you take the copy and you photocopy it, but you, like, squiggle all over it first.
It's like Michael Keaton says in Multiplicity. Like, when you make a copy of a copy, it's not quite as sharp as the original.
Yeah. It's always funny to hear, like, the way it all worked there. 5 times, sheesh, people gotta aim better. Eyes and throat and nose. And get the mouth. Bears get shot in the head sometimes. Just makes them angry. Yep, I've seen those videos where they'll charge after getting shot, and you're like, reload! So, yeah, no, bears are no joke. And so it could have been such an awesome fight with the predator, right? Because people kind of have a sense of, like, how scary a bear can be. It's not as ethereal as understanding how strong Superman is or Wolverine or whatever. And so if you see a fight where the bear's kind of like doing some damage and the fight's going back and forth in this really brutal way, like, I feel like the audience would be way more into that. And it kind of did it because it knocked the predator down, and then the predator got up and punched him, and then all of that goodwill went away. But
Well, I think, if I remember correctly, I think the predator was fighting it with his fists, like just normal fight, and then he had, like, after the bear kind of did him in, then he got back up and started using his little arm claws to fight it. So
yeah,
with just his fist, the bear won. He had to kind of step it up to defeat it.
yeah, maybe so.
And that was the thing about it I did like. That was pretty cool.
What Paul said, checked. Lance Henriksen was in Hellraiser, Hellworld, with a super young Henry Cavill.
Really?
I'll have to look at that. Again, I don't want and I don't like the whole every Predator movie needs to be like the original. Oh yeah, 100% agree. I want the full expanse of Predator culture and interclan conflicts. Let Predator be sci-fi and not just horror. Oh yeah, 100% agree with that. Which actually was one of the things we liked about Predators. So it wasn't I don't think it was trying to be the original. It was very different as far as like the type of characters that were in there. It was just so hard-edged. Like, it was really, it's very, I'm trying to figure out how to put it other than hard-edged, but like, it's not,
Gritty.
there's not really, yeah, gritty, but it's like not really comedic. Like, these people are not good people.
It's kind of dark and fatalistic a little bit.
Maybe fatalistic, yeah. But then you do explore like more of the actual Predator conflict, which I appreciated. For a young Henry Cavill, check out his acting skills in 2002 Count of Monte Cristo. Oh, okay. War Game Ramble. I mean, the Alien franchise did sci-fi horror in the first movie to pure adrenaline action in the second. I mean, it's a little scary still for people. If you ever watch the YouTube channel Popcorn in Bed, she's convinced that it's still a horror movie. Sorry, we have a small leak in the studio. It kind of randomly just drizzles every now and then. But yes, you could definitely explore. Like, I don't know if I want to see the romantic comedy of Predator, but at the same time. Like, exploring more genres would be fun. I think the Predators are a little limited because it seems like their culture is pretty narrow. Seems like it anyway. I mean, I mentioned it before. I'm like, who are the scientist Predators? Who are the ones developing the technology while they're too busy fighting? Like, if they're busy fighting all the time, who's the one in the lab coat, like, working away on some electronics, tweaking with the soldering iron? Like, where
it's
are
like
those?
40K. Those are the Predator grots.
See, and okay, so that would be kind of fun to see. Like, finding somebody who makes the Predator technology, because I would bet you it's probably not the same species. Predators have their own sense of what horror and honorable combat is. It's to differentiate compared to human horror.
Maybe the Predator homeworld is kind of like Office Space. And like when they go out and do this is just like the way they, cut loose. You know what I mean? Like normally they live very oppressive existences. They
Like
work
with
in cubicles.
and ties.
Yeah, and so of course they have a lot of pent up like rage and need to go out and, be
And
dominant and
wear
that sort of
as
thing.
little as possible.
And so, yeah, and so like, whenever they come to Earth, that's when what happens at Earth stays in Earth.
Well, but they also had their other game planet.
Well, there too, right?
Maybe. I guess we don't know. Let's see. Predator's camouflage was odd in Prey. Water didn't affect it much. Yeah, because wasn't there a thing about the netting being part of like what made it work? Was
So
that a
Brian, I feel like Brian, this is a question Brian should know. I always understood that the net that they wore was what generated the camouflage, but maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know. And also jumping ahead, Predator Office Space skulls, they are flare.
Fair. I take it there's no more news about War Machine. You know what? I did bring up one thing that was super awesome that I was just proud to see. I pulled this up today because it came out today. They had a little tutorial on the Privateer website about how to make quicksand terrain. So I just, I was happy enough to see that I actually prepared it to share with you. So you can make, you just take whatever that is, MDF, and you sort of shave it down. But apparently you can buy little pre-cut bits of that, and then you can get to this lovely end result of some quicksand terrain. So yeah, that was kind of fun. You can see how to make quicksand terrain. But other than that, no, there really isn't much in the way of news. Not anything new that I've seen on it. They just, trying to remember what the other things they said were. They had news about the Winter Corps Army box, which there was some confusion about what would be in that box, and they clarified that. But no, nothing crazy new news there. Right now, I think they're probably waiting to see what some of the playtesting comes back with while the beta rules are out. So figured I'd take a break from gaming to talk about this instead, because it's probably going to get pretty busy in the new month. I could see September being a big roll-up. The end of October is the official launch date, and I'm really hoping like hell to see some really cool promotion for it. Let's see.
I wonder if we'll get any insider news at Valhalla.
Maybe. Let's see. Screw the net. Sorry, I should have mentioned it was a 38 special. Imagine a bear that could stand up on his hind feet and look into your second story window. Oh yeah. Now it's funny to, especially when you live in cities and stuff, it's easy to forget how just barely removed from nature you really are. And like, if you didn't have all of the comforts of an actively maintained society, we would be just little plankton floating around in the world, getting eaten by everything. Although I hear human meat tastes terrible. Let's see. No worries. I've heard people using shotguns on full grizzly and not harming them. Good to know. 38 or 22 would do nothing. No worries. Brian, Lance Hendrickson was in the TV show Night Shift. I traveled with him a couple of times. I don't think we ever directly communicated. That's right, Night Shift. That was a pretty big show here. I need to be better about TV. We just barely made our way through Stranger Things, which I'm really glad we did, but it's so hard to keep up with television. Let's see. Riverdale is the best TV show ever made. Fight me. Okay.
But does the Predator visit there,
I guess that would be in canon. Gosh.
making it possibly the best show?
That would be wild.
I'm still waiting
That
for
would be how
Buffy
they
versus
end
Predator.
the series. The Predator just comes in. Because they're in high school, I guess. I don't know. I don't remember. It's really nice. I've had mixed feelings toward Batman since forever. He is too OP for somebody without powers. Technically more broken than Superman in some ways.
What are you talking about? He has plot power. It's the most powerful power you can have in storytelling.
Yeah, that
When the writer likes you, you're more powerful than anything.
which has been complained about in the War Machine lore, admittedly. Rothian, Prometheus and Alien Covenant didn't happen. Fan canon. Can't change my mind. Yeah, I guess I'm pretty accepting of a lot of the stuff that comes out. I'm like, okay, you did that, I guess. But I wouldn't worry about if they decide to make another Alien movie and just not acknowledge Prometheus or Alien Covenant at all. Like, I would be very happy. I wouldn't be stressing about trying to make all of that work and make a good movie. If they make a good movie, then that's fine. I'll take it.
Well, I feel like it'd be real easy to do because you just go to the corner of the universe where that didn't happen and there are still xenomorphs. I mean, what was it, LV? Wow, I just blanked on the number. LV
247?
246, something like that. Dang it. Wow, how do I forget that?
Losing nerd points.
I know. But wherever that happened, those eggs were being transported by the space jockey. And so that's apparently not where aliens normally are. So you could just have another sort of corner of the universe or corner of the galaxy where that happened, right? And you just make your movie there.
There you go. It doesn't matter what point in time that happened. So how can you not like a movie where a lady goes for a run right after a C-section?
All right. Brian says it's LV 426. What did we say?
247.
Well, you said 7 and I said 6. But what did you say, 2? Did I say 246?
I don't remember.
Yeah. Miranda's just at the planet next to it. She's much safer there.
So whenever I worked for a t-shirt company, one of our popular shirts was like 665, and I think it was 665 was Neighbor of the Beast. Let's see, this is why animated films have so much potential. Anime alone has done more and better than Western comics, cartoons, and most TV film combined. That is a bold statement, especially since most anime is garbage. So, there's that. There's some good anime, but I feel like it falls right into the same genre. Like, there's good Westerns, there's good anime, there's good sci-fi. There's also terrible of all the things because there's so much of it.
Although Flo's the one to really talk about anime over here.
Yeah, that's true.
Flo's watched so much more than both of us combined.
Yes. Yeah. I would say I have.
I would say you have for sure. What were you watching the other day?
Helsing.
Hellsing, yeah, there you go. Pretty good?
Classic.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and so a lot of the animes that came over from the 90s and like early aughts seemed like they were, like, that was basically my only reference to them. And then after that, I was like, Tenchi Muyo, what is this? Well, no, I'm done. Saron, welcome. What did I miss? Oh, we're just chatting movies. But we'll probably do a progress check here in a minute, see how Flo's doing and how everyone else is, if they, for whatever else everyone is working on, where you all are at. Ryan, I wonder who has the musical rights to Aliens and Predator. Just get John Carpenter to score the next Predator. It'd be kind of fun.
I'd be all in. That sounds fine.
In fact, if he directed another Predator,
if you could get him to do it.
or directed the next Predator, that'd be fun too.
Would he direct a good one now? So if you had him direct a Predator movie in like, what is it, the 70s or the 80s? Which one's the height of his directing? There's like a whole decade there where he just hit like just heavyweight
the
punching.
80s.
I think it was the early 80s. I know the Thing was one of those. Like in his The Thing years, if you were to direct a Predator movie, I'm all in, 100%.
Let's see. Everything is owned by a megacorp eventually, so Disney will probably make a Predator princess film one day. Well, there was the thing about the Queen Alien now being a Disney villain.
What's a Disney evil queen?
Mm-hmm. So I would buy that mug. Let's see. Slight change of topic. Any thoughts about the new D&D movie? I can't decide how I feel about it. Like, it has all the elements of everything I'd like. Like, Chris Pine is good. The the comedic take seems fine. I think the only reservation I have with it is whether or not the subject matter will be lovingly made fun of or just made fun of.
To be fair, the first one was also, I think, supposed to be a comedy, or at least had lots and lots of comedy.
I mean, it was comedic.
But I think intentionally so,
Really?
right? With the Waynes, having the Waynes brother in it and constantly running around like the guy in Fifth Element, like he's doing what was it, Ruby Rod?
Oh,
like
yeah.
doing
Chris,
an impression of him almost.
Tucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like, I don't know. I hope this one is actually funny because I know they've tried to do comedy in the D&D movies before.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously D&D kind of leans into comedy pretty well, just because when you remember the games of D&D you play, you usually remember the moments that you guys are laughing your butts off at some silly situation that has happened. So it's probably the right take on a movie. We'll just see. I mean, I'll go watch it.
I'll definitely go see it.
Yeah, we're certainly going to see it. Jeremy, I saw the preview and it looked exciting, and then I thought about it and was like, nope, sorry, it looks like crap after thinking about it. Well, that's your problem, Jeremy. You're just thinking about things too much, and you love to hate things too much. Just chill a little bit. William Ramble, I haven't seen any Predator movie. I want to watch again since the first one. Oh yeah, just like marathon it. That'd be fun.
By the way, jumping ahead, I agree with Mandragora. Community was the best D&D I ever saw as well.
Community was great. Yeah, no, as far as handling that, yeah, Community was really good. The Gamers is pretty good.
Zero Charisma is amazing.
Zero Charisma is really good. It's a lot more meta, I guess.
It's a character piece, like a character study, but it's great.
It is. It's fascinating. And it's sort of like one of those personality types people like to not acknowledge, and I'm glad that movie's out. Let's see. Tee-hee-hey, I'm not in support of it. Just saying these things can be eventualities, sadly. Let's see. You should have seen the Dragon Ball Super instead of Fall. You're right. It was an option. It's on the theaters. Like I probably would have had more fun watching Dragon Balls. Very exciting. Might be the only one that loved Iron Man 3.
I'm just gonna be underneath it and watch those Dragon Balls.
Yes, exactly. I don't remember Iron Man 3, so I can't, I don't want to say how I feel about it, because I don't.
It was not memorable.
It
Yeah.
did have a kid. It was the one with the kid where the kid, it actually wasn't annoying having a kid, so that's kind of noteworthy in and of itself.
Yeah, the kid was kind of a neat part of it, but the rest of it was kind of.
I remember at one point, like, Iron Man just kind of telling him to suck it up and not caring about his
yeah.
problems. It's actually pretty funny.
That's not the same kid from Deadpool and Hunt for the Wilder People, is it? Different kid?
Yeah,
He was
different kid.
Okay. I'm confusing it then. Is this your Ultramarine, the Ultramarine so far?
So far.
Oh, looking good. So is that as far as the painting guide tells you to go so
Yeah.
far? Okay. So there's very little, well, no, there's metal, there's white, there's blue. I'm guessing the gold will be one of the next colors.
Well, I just added that to a couple of them.
Oh, there you go. Screw the net. Believe it or not, the future and temporal things are a bit of my specialty. Let's see. Can I make the request that you go back in time and prevent Disney from getting a hold of Star Wars? Oh, Star Wars was already in dire straits. Let's just be real. Let's see. Sorry, I should have said that Iwata Prime is mentioned in some novels, comics, and alluded to in some of the AVP movies and games. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, my entire knowledge of Predator is from the movies only. So there's that. Same with the Alien series. I didn't do any of because, oh God, that's right, when Prometheus came out, they were like, no, you've got to look at the blogs online about it. There was like that whole marketing campaign to be like, no, it's really amazing. You just have to find these resources. I'm like, okay, GW made a movie. Like, that's how you'd have to fill in the gaps to go pay to like read from different websites. I'm sorry. That was a mean-spirited joke, wasn't it? Through the net. Well, at least you have my back. Brian, I met Amber Midhunter and her parents on the Book of Eli. Oh. She was nice last time I hung out with her, which was on Longmire. Okay. Wow, she's definitely been working then. Chris, I want Predator versus Ewoks. I don't know. The Ewoks might give a Predator enough money.
They're more
tricksy.
resourceful
They're
than
tricksy.
anyone ever gives them credit for.
Like, I know it was a whole thing in Predators where, they're getting around the booby traps, but I feel like they wouldn't always get around the Ewok booby traps.
No, because they're not made of metal. It's harder for them to see.
That's right. Ooh. Oh, God, I freaking hated the Ewoks movie, but if there was a Predator versus Ewoks, I'd probably watch the hell out of that movie.
Yeah. I mean, Predator versus Wookiee movie would be more of a straight-up challenge, right?
That's,
Like
yeah.
Predator on Kashyyyk.
I don't know how technologically advanced the Wookiees are.
Oh, very.
Are they?
Fairly, I believe.
I mean, I
That's my
know, like,
understanding.
Chewbacca was pretty resourceful and a really good shot, but that's all I knew about him. Like, I
Well,
don't
he's
know
a
what they're-
co-pilot too, and he also is the
Yeah.
guy who he's like the mechanic on the Falcon. Like he is the one. Han would run off. Chewie
leave
would
Chewie
work
to
on the ship, and then
fix
Han would
stuff.
come back and just gripe at him for not doing it better. But he was the one doing it.
Disney owns both, so it could happen. Well, that would be fun to see. And also, hi, Chris. Let's see. The French had their pros and cons. How they threaten indigenous people all over. Just like most colonizers. Tis true. Yeah. Where does Prank ranks among the franchise? Third. I think it's third. Without having any memory of the AVP movies, but being pretty sure I just disliked them, I would say Predator, Predators, Prey would be my order.
I did watch Predator 2 recently, and it just depends on what you want out of it. I think Predator 2 and Prey are probably on pretty equal footing, just depending on what you want out of it. And so they
Really?
both have problems, but it just depends which problems bug you more as to which one you rank below the other. You know what I mean?
So I'm just going to acknowledge those three movies where the rest of them are probably just kind of neck and neck for, meh. I mean, I don't...
Yeah, the
I haven't
AVP
seen
movies
two.
are not good, and then The Predator is just
Yeah.
garbage.
So I don't my only memory of AVP 2 was you convincing me to go see it, refusing to show me AVP 1 because you knew that if I watched the first one, I would not want to go with you to see the second. And then still being kind of upset after watching the movie. But like I only just remember like how I felt afterward. I don't really remember the content of those films. So there's that. But yeah, I would just
remember-
acknowledge those three.
Well, that one, there were a bunch of hunters in the woods that ran across alien eggs. And there's one where one of the first deaths is like the kid getting killed by a face hugger.
Ooh,
Or, by the
brutal.
alien that comes out of him.
Brutal. Screw the
And I say kid, I mean like 14, 15-year-old kid who's like on his first hunting trip with his
Yeah.
dad sort of thing.
I called it, told people to buy Disney stock 20 years ago. Now they're megacorp status. But the question is, what to buy now? Saran, if the predators have been hunting dangerous humans and using Earth as a game reserve for hundreds of years, what was their interaction with governments, if any? I mean, if you think about what we've in reality experienced over the last 2 years with the actual UFOs and stuff on camera and Air Force and Navy pilots saying, yeah, no, these ships appeared, disappeared, we couldn't track them, we couldn't do anything, and they showed up off the coast like miles and miles away within like seconds. We apparently just accepted and go back to watching Twitter. So I feel like they can just do whatever, the predators.
They just come and go as they please.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to bother with them.
We're just too busy infighting. So it's like, oh, what? You guys, we'll deal with you when we're not being difficult with each other. So, yeah. Very exciting. Oh, yeah, the guys live right down the street from the buyer's house. Huh? The bear in the movie would have run from her and the dog if it was realistic. No, not if it was eating. It would have probably just roared and continued
It had just
to eat.
ignored them.
Yeah, well, I don't
If
know.
it's
It might have like made a threatening stance or something like that.
No,
but-
there's some crazy footage I saw of somebody who's like recording out their door. There was a bear that had gotten into their backyard and it actually caught a deer that was also running through there, and it just had it by the. It was like kind of disturbing because it's just sitting there like dominating the deer with like biting down its neck, and the deer's just like screaming. And the
Ooh.
people are just like kind of watching it through their back door and filming it, but they're like, I don't know what to do about this.
I'm not going to interrupt.
Yeah.
You're kidding me?
That's a bear.
Yeah, no.
But
I mean, it's a
if
bear.
if they were to go out there, that bear wouldn't bother with them. You know, he would just finish killing the deer. And then if he's eating the deer, you wouldn't want to go out there and bother him.
Or might pick it up and walk off.
You might drag it off, yeah.
Chris, the bear in the movie would have run. If it is a Predator movie, I disregard opinions on realism.
Oh, Norm Queen. Alexis is in chat.
Oh, hi. Hi, Norm Queen. So with regard to realism, maybe, but again, you're examining sort of the core of your franchise. What does it mean to be a predator? What does it mean to be prey? You might put some effort in it. And that's where I was sort of annoyed, because it's like, no, I can accept a lot of things, like you just don't know. But then you're like, and this is me telling you. And you're like, okay.
Well, it's like, if you don't know the actual like trade practices of French, trappers and the fur trade in that era, it's like, yeah, whatever, I don't care.
Right.
Because that's not what
They were
Predator or
such a
Prey are
side
about,
character,
right?
exactly.
But if it's like, here, let me show you this specific sequence where a coyote is chasing after a rabbit, and this is what would happen. It's like, then you should probably know what would happen. You should probably do a little bit of research on that, because we get coyotes in our neighborhood sometimes, and they'll just run off if you approach them. Like, they're not just crazy aggressive for no reason, especially if you're this weird, strange thing to them.
You're right. Let's see. Hard to say. In Predator 2, we know that certain government agencies already know of Xeno existence, especially the Preds, further shown in Predators film and with all the tech research. In Predators, well, I don't know that there was any acknowledgement of humans of Earth being familiar with the Predators, other than like the callback to the first one.
Well, yeah, I think the first one with Dutch, like when you hear other stories about, I mean, I guess there's like, Anna in the first one when she talks about her village. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to remember what she called it, but it was like the devil that eats men and takes their trophies or takes their skin or whatever. There's something like that. But there's been like legend. But as far as like a proper government, I think that all the other Predator movies I've seen will just refer back to that one, and be like, yeah, back in Guatemala in the 1980s, this happened. And they always just keep referring to that moment as like the first time that they knew about it. So
Fair.
I don't know.
Andrew, how do you outrun a bear? Trip your buddy. I've seen that. Plus, Buffy was a fanfic of Lost Boys. What? I haven't heard that. Lost Boys was underrated. Lost Boys is an amazing movie. The story behind how that got made is fantastic, by the way.
Well, yeah, it was supposed to be a Peter Pan movie originally.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I lost my place. Lost my place in the chat. Now I've got to catch up. Sorry. There it is. Hey there, folks. Might sound like might have been a young predator earning its stripes. That was one of the things we discussed too, like it being kind of sloppy, and it seemed
I kind of agree with that
too.
Yeah, like I think it was kind of a juvenile or very young predator. Like I completely agree.
Yeah, we determined that too. We're like, yeah, this isn't a very experienced predator.
Yeah.
Especially since he's like building his way up. He starts with like the snake, and he works his way up to.
It's like an MMO, he has to kill wolves and boars, and then when he levels up,
level 400 by killing sheep. Oh gosh. Where does one To Catch a Predator fit into the timeline? Yes.
That's the TV series that the Predator was in, for a little while.
The common conscience is that the Predator was a youth. He had no skulls on his outfit. So there you go. Standing ovation for Andrew. He won the chat tonight, Andrew. Predator 4, why don't you take a seat? Lost Boys is overrated. I may be the only one with this opinion. I saw it very late in 1996, and it was super dated. I think I really like the weirdness of it. It feels like an original movie. It's like what A24 is now then.
I think it was dated the way Army of Darkness was dated when it came out in the 90s. It's like, yeah, we know, but it's great. Like, it only heightens the awesome like comedy of it.
Bad. I mean, it's a time.
Well, dated, but then I guess overrated. I don't know if it's overrated because it's dated for you, but yeah, I don't know.
I love Lost Boys. But
has such a
I
weird
have
dreamy
such
feel.
a sentimental
Yeah.
value to that also, though, because I mean, I used to go hang out at
'Cause-
that boardwalk all the time.
Flo grew up with all the damn vampires.
Yes.
No, obviously, sometimes when in your life you see a movie, it will hold more of a special place for you. But at the same time, like, it's kind of interesting to see what made that movie work so well. And part of it is just because it was so non-mainstream. And I don't know, it was just it was like a movie for the alternative crowd before that was cool. Predator, Office Space, Skulls or Flare? Yes. I'm pretty sure the netting was part of the camouflage. Okay.
Well, because in Prey, it doesn't have netting. And then also in Predators, the bigger predators, they don't have netting. And it was always weird to me. And in Prey, if you'll notice, his camouflage doesn't short out when he gets wet.
3D.
Like, it's fine in water.
Yeah.
Which is supposed to be 300 years before he fights Arnold Schwarzenegger. And that Predator's, like, camouflage
But
shorts
that
out in
predator
water.
also looked different. So maybe it was like, a different type of predator, different technology. Maybe the predator from the first movie was like the least technologically advanced of all the predators.
Or it's maybe just a licensing thing and it had to be 25% different from other predators legally.
Hey, shut up. So anyway, 3D terrain will, in War Hordes never. No, please. War Machine needs this. We need 3D terrain. We need painted models. If we want this game to come back, please, we need to encourage this behavior. There's like a couple of millimeters of depth, but I'll take it. It's just a step in the right direction. I was just so happy to see it. I think Lost Boys will always be good for those who want to go on a bit of an 80s binge. Thomas, the Kazin were a warrior race in sci-fi. Their scientists were usually not as well regarded, and their psychics were considered as low and wretched. Okay.
That feels very orky, like 40K orky.
Lost Boys wasn't too bad, but at the same time it was trying to convey how stuck in the past immortal bloodsuckers would be. But it was still 1987 and actually felt modern for the time. Sorry to be commenting so much, but Lance H. was also in Millennium, which was the darker X-Files type show. Oh my gosh! I remember that show vaguely. Wow. Did that have the guy from Dark City in it? I'm trying to remember. Oh my gosh, that like just flashed in my mind. Like I haven't heard that name in so long. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Light bulb has just gone on.
Well, yeah, because it's like weird stuff that I'd watch that you'd see on TV in the background or whatever. Predator has not yet made it to Riverdale, but there's a Gargoyle King, several cults, and several serial killers. Psh, serial killers. Those are overrated. Let's see. Still got all my...
Like Topher Grace.
I didn't like him the first time I watched the movie. I was softer on it this time. But I do remember that when we first saw the movie in the theaters. I was like, ugh, Topher Grace, like, just being a jerk. You're not even interesting. And then I'm in this, I'm like, you're fine. So, like, obviously I changed a little bit there. Let's see, if you eat people and don't eat the brain, you will get Kuru. Wow, yeah, I'm loving all the nerd energy in here tonight. Prometheus didn't connect that well with the lore, i.e. the Wayland's super high-tech computing when in Alien everything was not much more advanced than a 1970s analog tech.
Oh, I agree. But I love that 1970s analog tech. It's
So-
just super. It's
Yeah.
almost like, what do you call it now? It's almost like analog horror now, right? Where it's like there's a certain nostalgic aesthetic that goes with a lot of the older tech that's frankly more interesting than like people running around with, what is it, the little screens that appear in the air and you just flick your hands around in the air and they just kind of move around.
Oh, yeah.
All holographic. Like, that's not as interesting as like, watching the little letters spell out on a screen, as they're talking to the computer. Just something cool about it.
Analog horror started making a resurgence because there's just something about being grounded in a physical entity, physical item, that means more in a way. It makes it more substantial, I suppose. I mean, you can watch any web series and they'll do the high-tech screen visual in the air because it's a post effect and it's easy enough to do. So maybe there's a certain amount of just, you can see it anywhere.
So you don't have to have built an actual
Exactly.
like thing to have on the set. You can just throw it to some guy in India to do the post effects for you. Yeah.
Brian, most of everything is garbage. Anime is a medium, not a genre.
That's pretty fair, I think.
Good point. Good point. Hellsing, old school. Do you like the dub or stick to subtitles?
Actually, I think the dub of Hellsing is really good.
Okay.
Even the creator of Hellsing, the writer, appreciated the dub.
It's nice when they actually take a good approach to it. I mean, a lot of those earlier ones, I think obviously Cowboy Bebop was really good.
Yeah,
in
Cowboy
dub.
Bebop's better, but it's kind of it's like their take on an American show anyway. So having American voices fits more the aesthetic that they were going for anyway. Like the Miyazaki movies that John Lasseter oversaw, like the redubbing of, those were really good because they
He
really
spent
took
a
a lot of
of
work.
time. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Rothian, right now I'm just checking on my kits and figures looking for anything I need to touch up or repaint. Like repaint completely? That seems like a lot of work. Carpenter was strong in the 80s, everyone agrees. Mandragora, I disagree. It only takes one of 5 bad things to ruin a live action movie. Casting, line delivery, action, CGI, and writing. Music helps, but it's optional. Anime can only fail in line delivery and writing.
I mean, the CGI would be considered like animation. And so I assume anime can fail in the
Well,
animation.
There's different style. Like Attack on Titan had really beautiful animation, and I wanted to stab my eyes out by the time I was trying to finish that first season.
Yeah, that's the writing and line delivery, like
Yeah.
falling all over the floor there.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I guess writing would include the pacing portion of that, because maybe that was where I was getting really frustrated with it. But okay, that's fair. By the way, if nobody has said that's a sweet shirt, thank you. Chris Pine is not good. He's just Chris Pine in every movie, which is fine if you like Chris Pine.
and if he's cast appropriately.
I think he made a great Kirk, and he made a great whatever his name was in Wonder Woman, and there was something else. But
Isn't
yeah.
he Steve Rogers? Isn't that his name as well? Like, is the same name as Captain
I
America?
don't think it was Steve Rogers, something Rogers.
Was it not?
I'm
I'm trying to remember.
Again, names, characters,
chat will
names.
know.
It's hard. It's hard to remember these things. Let's see. I love Chris Pine. Outlaw King, anyone? Oh, there you go. Community was, best D&D. I thought D&D trailer looked fine. I look forward to seeing it as well. Yeah. The last movie is funny because it's so bad, but not because they put comedy in it.
Somebody says Steve Trevor is his name.
Oh, okay.
Not Steve Rogers. Close. It's pretty close, but not the
Trevor.
same. Fair enough.
Huh, okay. Plundered I really didn't mind Prey. That being said, I'm not a real fan of the Predator movies. I'm more a fan of Big Trouble in Little China kind of guy.
Yes.
We just rewatched that movie a week ago?
Oh, really?
Big
You
Trouble
didn't
in
have
Little
me
China?
over for it?
Yeah.
I know,
that
I'm
was
sorry.
great.
It was like a late night, like after 10 o'clock, like I want to watch a movie before bed kind of thing. And I forgot how much I actually just love that movie. I
It's
love
me,
everything about
Gracie
that movie.
Law.
That's one of the ones I own.
It's me, Gracie Law.
That's right.
That's how she's introduced.
Kim Cattrall, like rocking it. All the characters doing a great job. Of course, Kurt Russell. Oh, my Snake Plissken, I love him so much.
That's one of the pop figures that I'm slowly collecting. Is all the Big Trouble in Little China ones because they're so fun.
It's such a fun movie. And it's weird because I also mentioned it after, like, how do you look back on Big Trouble in Little China and you're like, wow, it's just this lighthearted, fun movie. You know, there might be murder and human trafficking and black magic. And you're like, I guess, how did it look on paper? But, it's so good.
Usually not a lot of human trafficking in a fun romp.
Right. But there you are. And it's such a good movie. I love it so much. Need a Jumanji-like D&D movie. Well, I guess that's more kind of what the gamers was, and that they would go back and forth in the world. I guess it was more voluntary, though. My only complaint was that the Community and TBBT both seem to include the Book of Erotic Fiction add-on for the campaign. Yeah, it's hard to keep them away from that. The first D&D episode of Community, not the second. The second episode struggled. I was also hoping Fat Neil was going to be a bigger part of the show. It was the one at Christmas. Okay, best part of Iron Man 3 for me was when he had the Silver Centurion armor, then unfortunately took it off after 5 seconds. I don't remember. Let's see, Carpenter's run was starting in the late 70s with Halloween, and through the 80s was really something. The Thing, The Fog, Escape from New York, Big Trouble in Little China, They Live, Christine, Starman. Wow, yeah, I've heard of all those movies.
In the Mouth of Madness.
A Death
Though that
is
one's not as
Ridiculous. Welcome.
That's a John Carpenter as well, right?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay.
It's another one I own.
Coolish Dan. Ewoks eat people. Yeah, I guess we've established that. Or at least it's hinted at. Let's see. That's like the movie Southland Tale.
Well, that's what I want to do. We should do a watch party with the group where we watch the 2 Ewok movies.
Oh, God.
I hear those are kind of amazing.
Maybe. I mean, I just remember being a little kid, and I would go over to the neighbor's house, and there were these girls that lived there, and they didn't care about Star Wars, but they loved the Ewoks. They'd always watch them, and as like an 8-year-old, I was thinking that they were dumb and stupid.
Wait, you'd watch the movies, like
Yeah,
the Ewok movies?
they had the movies playing nonstop. Because you know when you're a kid, for whatever reason, it's in your head, you like a movie, you just loop it over and over and over again. That was what happened with the Ewok movies over there, so. But I don't remember a thing about him now. I just remember my feeling about him. Yeah. Ewoks are the most dangerous aliens in the Star Wars universe. Oh, man. Let's see. Maybe give them cans of space spam or something. Oh, Chewie did rebuild.
Well, you saw the, what was it, on Red Letter Media, where they were coming up with the whole pitch line and the story of E.T. versus Predator? Just pretty
That
awesome.
was pretty solid. Like, they're working through that was pretty solid. Let's see. With the Orville show on Disney Plus, does that make Clayton a Disney princess? Well, I mean, Carrie Fisher. Princess Leia was a princess in canon. Was she not? Is Clayton? I didn't watch Orville. I'm sorry. And I say that as someone who.
We would
desperately
probably
loves Star
enjoy
Trek.
Orville,
I'm
frankly.
sure I would. It's just one of those things. It's hard to get around to TV. Wookiees are one of the most technologically advanced races. They are also the species that has the best map of the galaxy and its hyperspace lanes. Everyone else keeps trying to steal their maps. Fair enough.
Even the Predators.
Patrick, Kitty and I
Be a
love the
great
first
movie.
AVP. It's ridiculous. Gosh. Let's see. Emma just turned 14. I'm not taking her hunting for fear of aliens. Fair
Well,
enough.
how's she going to know how to defeat them?
I know. I mean, got to teach your children while they, before the alien invasion happens. Predator 2 is what you watch to see some crazy Gary Busey. Anything with Gary Busey in it is what you see to see crazy Gary Busey. You want to talk about an actor who only acts like themselves? Anyway, Horus Heresy versus Predator. 40K wins!
I don't know, man. I feel like Korn might actually smile upon the Predators.
On the Predator? Oh. I can see that. But, I mean, the orcs would also have a good old time with it.
Because they take a lot of skulls, and, they can make some pretty amazing skull thrones.
Norn Queen, nom nom nom, deer. Can't say I would, I'm a fan of deer. What is it, venison? Too gamey. Let's see, Fairmoon. Bears are horrific in that they start eating their prey, even if their prey is still alive. I mean, you gotta be in a hurry in the wild. There's always something willing to snatch your stuff. Even, other bears, right? Bears are also friend-shaped. So, yeah. You're talking about prey. Prey was cool as fuck. Prey was okay. It was fine. It's my third favorite of the Predator movies.
It was enjoyable.
Yeah, it's enjoyable. It's competently told. I have a few nitpick issues with it, and then compared to Predator and Predators, it just, for me, ended up being kind of right after that. Although it and Predators are pretty close. I would never call it a bad movie.
No, it's not a bad movie. Although, unlike a lot of people, I would call Predators a particularly good one. I would actually call it a fairly good movie. And I know a lot of people.
I think you might need to be in a type of mood to watch it, though.
Well, but a lot of people that I hear like, I don't like it. And it's like, when did you see it? In theaters.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that was some time ago. You might watch it again.
But I wonder if it's something about the theater experience.
Or just the time, I think.
Yeah, there's that. I mean, and the CG in it is, again, not good. And then there's that really dumb action sequence with the dogs that is very eye-rolling.
I would say that only the CG with the dogs is the bad CG in there. I don't think any of the rest of it falls
The
down.
fire, the explosion of fire. It was
That's true.
Awful.
There's one shot of fire where it's a big orange caterpillar. It's like warming its way
Awful.
through the thing. It's real bad.
But they did a lot of practical effects. So they didn't have to rely on a whole lot of CG either. So that was good. Let's see, a lot of carnivore animals do, unfortunately. I mean, you want to talk about nature, like, oh, nature is so peaceful. It's like, have you seen nature? Talk about aliens. You're wearing one, Miranda. It's true. And not just because I'm in New Mexico. But
What was the last good alien experience? Right? Like, Alien's amazing, of course. Aliens is also amazing, of course.
which I think Alien, and I'm in
Alien
that camp of
3
people who think
is
Alien's
like, has its ups and
I
downs.
don't remember Alien 3.
Alien 4 is terrible.
Alien 4 was
City of Lost
embarrassing.
Aliens.
I only ever saw the first two, and then AVP. But
And then after that, it was like Prometheus and Alien Covenant, right? And I mean,
think
I was really
so.
excited about, I'm so excited about Prometheus when it was like, oh, first
Oh,
coming
everyone
out, we're going to
was.
learn so much about
Oh,
the
it's just like Ridley
world.
Scott's coming back. They're going to set this straight, and everybody was, I mean, it was high hopes all around.
Yeah.
I
And
think
then-
it might have been one of the first movies that created this whole trend of like worrying about whenever they're
Oh,
when they're
creating
going
the
back to
gun-
an old
the
franchise.
gun-shy audience.
When they're just like, no, just don't go back to it. Just leave it alone. I think like Prometheus is one of the first movies that sort of set that stage.
Maybe so. It was probably the most popular example of that. Because I think people are used to like garbage sequels, right? But it's just Alien had such a high, right? Because it was like,
Oh, yeah.
bam, knock it out of the park with the first one, and then even better with the second. So the expectation. What was it? The guy who directed Alien 3. Who did all the music videos.
Wow, guy who did Seven and Fight Club.
Yeah,
Why am I
loves the
blanking
color
on his
green.
name?
Who lights with green. But I'll remember in a moment. But I mean, I like his stuff.
David Fincher.
Thank you, David Fincher. Like, that was his directing debut, I think, for a movie. And
Yeah.
I mean, the expectation for that, like, it sucks to follow that act, right?
I think he
Sucks to
did that
follow
right
Alien
after
2.
the Janie Got Her Gun music video.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it was just right after that.
Yeah, so.
But what was it? Jean-Pierre Jeunet did the fourth
Four.
one, and I
Mm-hmm.
like City of Lost Children. Like that's a really good movie, but I just don't think. I don't know.
Didn't need to be
The fourth
rehashed
Alien was
anyways.
just real bad
I can
with the weird goo baby and everything. It's just awful.
B. Vargas, I can see why bear cults were popular in prehistoric times, though. They were like nature's tanks at the time, given caveman tech, such as flint weapons, they'd have been almost unstoppable. Oh, 100%. Predators have a fair amount
Which,
of
by the way, there
destruction.
was some of that, right, in Northman. Like whenever they were eating the
yeah.
shrooms and stuff and trying to take on the spirits, like they were being berserkers. Like I
Now,
think
no
some of those
Northman
were
likes-
bear.
I'm pretty sure you're in love with Northman. Northman was solid.
Pretty solid, yeah.
Solid. I'm sort of like, it was all right. It was a very thin, like, very simple story, told probably
Well-
over a little bit too long a time.
Well,
But
then I ended up watching the review for it by Andre from
What, Midnight's Edge?
Midnight's Edge, and he is like he gets into the culture, like he is a Northman
Yeah.
essentially, and so he was talking about like no, a lot of it is incredibly historically accurate. And I was like,
Yeah.
well, that's pretty cool then.
And I agree. I liked it better after learning a little more about it because I'm like, well, at least it's accurate. I at least respect that. It didn't translate as well to screen for me. Just watching grown men bark and howl at the moon is, I don't know, a little awkward.
It's untenable until you find out like nope, that's accurate, and then it's just
You just sort of-
interesting.
Maybe that's it. You're like, I accept it because I appreciate them being accurate. Yeah.
No
there you
less
go.
weird, but now it's at least interesting.
Let's see. That demon that makes trophies of man was the lion from Predator.
Ah, thank you.
Norrin says it's in some of the comics. There's pheromones that heighten the predator's aggression.
The predator's aggression or the aggression of animals around the predator? I think it's just other animals, is what they were saying.
Oh, okay. A coyote super genius would use Acme devices against the predator. Dude, there was a straight up
But they
Acme
would
scene
never work.
from the Fall movie as well. Like, literal Acme scene of a semi. It was, oh my God, that movie.
However, I do think maybe a Predator versus Roadrunner movie might be in order. I feel like that would be pretty awesome.
Are baby predators as cute as baby Yodas? I don't know. What would a baby predator, I would hope, is like just deceivingly adorable, right?
Man, I feel like that's the work for some Fiverr artists out there. It's like, all right, here's money. Draw me this. See how you can make it.
B. Vargas, I remember being chased back to town by a baby deer in Ultima Online when I first started playing. Oh my God, you play like the early RPGs where anything can kill you, like early Final Fantasy and all that. Yes, you find yourself doing that. It's so real. Oh. It's all good, Patty. You just have to watch Prey. I gave this like a few weeks, so I mean, I'm not gonna, it is what it is. Let's see. There's an AVP skirmish board game. Models are awesome, but it's 6th edition, 40K complicated. Was 6th a particularly complicated edition? I was not playing at that time.
No, you did play. We played 1 or 2 games of 6th, I thought.
It was just 5th.
Was that the one with Sweeping Advance?
No, it was 5th. It was my understanding.
Was
that it
6th the
fifth.
one where we completely dipped out and went into War
we were
Machine?
pretty
Is
much
that
in
it?
War Machine at that point.
Okay.
Because 6th lasted a long time, then 7th came out, and we did get back in at 7th. Sort of.
That's when you played Thane, right? And you had those like things
Oh,
that
yeah,
could
little
shoot, like didn't
pods.
need line of sight to shoot, and just
Oh,
tore you up with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, that's always super fun. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was 7th, and then 8th, and now 9th, I guess. Netting is meant to regulate body temperature. Okay. Let's see. I think the netting is meant to hang stuff on, like skulls and accessories.
So, fun fact about the netting is the real reason it's there is because the guy who was, designing, one of the guys designing the creature wanted the netting on it because he said he wanted him to look smart and that a creature needs clothing. Otherwise, it just looks like a beast. And so he put it on, and I think it was, not Rick Baker, oh my gosh, Stan Winston. I think it was Stan Winston that came by and was just like, it said that it made him look like he just got out of a club in San Francisco and told him he didn't want that on there. But the guy kept it on. And then when the producers came by, they really liked it. And then he said he overheard Stan Winston saying, yeah, we wanted it on there because it made them look smart.
Oh, Jobs.
Stan Winston's great, though. I love that guy.
Now Disney owns Predator in Star Wars. Imagine if there was an Ewok skull randomly in a ship, or a Predator skull in an Ewok village, which I would accept. I would accept that. Rufus Sewell, Dark City was not in Millennium, but he was in A Knight's Tale. Oh God. I liked Samurai Champloo dub too. I only do dubs.
That was actually pretty good.
Yeah, I remember hearing a lot of good things. I think I might have watched some of that one.
It shares a lot of voice actors.
Oh yeah, I mean,
So-
I would.
There are particular ones that you hear a lot, and you're like, yeah, no, this person's just really
I
good at
love
what
the
they
voice
do.
actor that does Faye, and I also love the one that does what's her name in wow, I just blanked the name of where Sin goes and works at the weird bathhouse. and
Oh yeah,
what's
from
Spirited Away?
Spirited Away.
Yeah, the lady that sort of takes
Helps
care of her.
her, yeah.
Yeah, I say lady, she's like, I don't know, 20 maybe. But that actress, I love her voice. She's such a cool voice.
Lynn.
Lynn's voice.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Like, I remember following the voice actors back in the day. There was a website you could go to called voicechasers.org. It was a fan website. I believe it was a fan website. It was just funded by donation, and people would keep track of voice credits for specific voice actors, and you could follow them. And I remember totally adoring Cam Clark and David Hayter, which I still love. And then Jennifer Hale is a really big voice actor. But a lot of the other names have kind of fallen away for me, but we followed it for a while. And of course, they did a lot of anime, just because that was really kind of flooding in the market.
More like anime and video games, right?
Let's see. Crispin Freeman was Helsing in The Sun, and he actually knew what he was doing. I wish there was a Discord for this chat so we could have in-depth discussions while rewatching AVP similar films. It's not a bad idea. Unfortunately, I'm really not good at Discord. Babylon 5, my first season is trash. I mean, not my favorite. I should definitely give Babylon 5 like a try at some point. I remember growing up hearing that it was garbage, but I never actually watched it. So the only question I ever thought was hard, do I hate New Kirk or the new Picard?
Is that still white and nerdy?
Most likely. Chris Pine is great in Princess Diaries too. Big Trouble in Little China is probably my favorite John Carpenter movie. It's so fun. How'd you get up there? Wasn't easy.
Yeah, we were laughing at that line. It's like, yeah, but seriously though, how'd you get up there?
Jack Burton is the epitome of me. The cockiest dude around that thinks everything he does works out perfect, but really a sidekick that can't get the shit right.
I feel like I really wanted to see Jack Burton and Ash Williams like have to team up and like take something on.
They would just never get along.
No, they wouldn't, but they would have to figure out somehow, right? Like
Oh my
it's part of what
gosh.
I think would be amazing about
Oh
it.
no.
Because they'd be like the two biggest egos in the room.
Oh man, Jack Burton was great. And yeah, it is funny how much of a side character he is, because I guess the thing about John Carpenter, when he talked about Big Trouble in Little China, is he actually really wanted to elevate like all the Asian actors that were in it,
Yeah.
and tell like specific like folklore and stuff from that culture. And so, you know, the old dude and his friend and all that are all really competent and good at their job and like kind of super powered and stuff, and Jack Burton's like all running around cocky and stupid. And
Well, half the time you're like, why are they like begging him to come along? Like they're kind of better than he is at this stuff.
they are, they're so, like much better, but it just makes this really delightful tale. It's so fun to watch. Let's see, September 17th, they're doing a drunken cinema screening of Big Trouble in Little China in the city of Saskatoon. Wow. Oh, that'll be fun. The Last Starfighter is awesome. Last Starfighter is awesome.
It is a really
quite good. I actually started Babylon 5 at season 2 and haven't ever watched season 1. Looked dull to me. I don't know. Like I hear like that makes sense. Like if you just want to watch the good stuff, but part of me just I don't think I could let myself skip a whole season to just start out on season 2, even though that would be pragmatic.
No, usually what Miranda does is she watches the first season of something and is like, this is garbage. I'll never watch any more of it. And then that's the end of it. And I usually watch one more season and then I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much
And then he
true.
comes and says, you were right. Oh, True Blood. And Walking Dead. I could not stand that show.
Yeah. Although I still hold the first season was still pretty good.
It was,
But yeah, second season, I was just like, what is it? Little House on the Zombie.
Zombie on the Prairie.
Yeah, it was bad.
I watched these old Ewok movies, but barely remember them. I think there was a family that crash landed in one of them. There was an Ewoks cartoon as well. 2 Ewok movies are on Disney Plus. The first one is okay, The Normal Hero's Journey. The second is Battle for Endor, and with way more potential, but falls flat. Ewoks are voracious predators. Think where they got that outfit for Princess Leia. Hi, J. Alex. How you doing, man? Oh, I lost the chat again. That's so annoying, the way it keeps loading. Let's see. Really hopeful Gary Whitta's Last Starfighter sequel reboot happens.
Oh, maybe. It's
I
just
would
hard to
love
say right now.
I just want to see original stories. I mean, A24 is a little bit like pulling on a slot machine for movies, but I do it because I really do want just original content.
Well, what was that really good sci-fi that we saw in the Dollar Theater? We had like no...
What, Upgrade?
Yeah, Upgrade. We
Upgrade's
had-
solid. Upgrade's a really good movie.
It reminded me of an 80s sci-fi movie
Yeah.
along the lines of like somewhere in between Blade Runner and RoboCop and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But it was like is a modern one, but it was really good, and we wouldn't have even probably seen it if it wasn't in the Dollar Theater.
Oh my gosh, we're already over time. I'm sorry, guys. It's after 8, and here I am just yapping away, reading chat. All right, we'll just kind of hurry through this. Jeremy, Alien 3, AVP, R, Alien 4, Covenant, Prometheus. You thought Covenant was better than Prometheus? I don't know, both of them. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Probably better.
Alien 3, Aliens, Alien Resurrection, and others are all mushed together. Okay, fair enough. Let's see, the alternate cut of Alien 3 is better. Did we watch the Alien 3 alternate cut?
I don't think so.
Resurrection is written by Joss Whedon too, right? I don't think so.
I think he was one of the writers on it. He he did a lot of additional writing before everybody knew him for like Buffy and stuff.
I just worked on the best Coyote versus Acme best script I've ever read. I've read in 15 years. Nice.
Is it a courtroom drama?
On tort reform, about those potholes in the city and the lack of stop signs. One of my favorite things to see in movies is the bad CGI around animal tails, because the dogs are wagging their tails because they're excited. Oh, girl, I know. It's ridiculous. And animal CGI, I think people get really kind of lazy about it.
By the way, somebody said that there's depictions of baby predators in some of the comics, and that they're very cute.
Oh, good. That makes me so happy. Matt Pat, I watched your second Kador versus Menoth video 10 years ago, and I'm just getting back. I see you've been busy. Congrats on all the success. Oh, thank you so much. Looking forward to jumping into Mark IV, that's for sure.
That was my introduction to this channel. Is you see my hands moving around on it.
Oh, that's right.
Because I was playing the Menoth.
Babylon 5 is a really satisfying show to see everything was set up, paid off. Kind of the opposite of Game of Thrones. Oh, yeah, I heard about that. Like Star-Lord and Thor, Jack Burton and Ash.
There you go.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. Yes, it is a courtroom drama.
Excellent.
Coyote versus Acme, based on the New Yorker's article, absolutely courtroom dramedy. Oh my goodness. All right, well, we should probably call it here because I'm already over time, and I obviously got very caught up, just yapping away about the movie. So thank you all for joining me on tonight's live stream. You want to just throw that guy up there and see where you finished off for the night? I hope you guys got some work done if that was your goal tonight. Otherwise, I super appreciate the movie chat. I love being able to get other opinions on what you guys think of all of our beloved franchises. And yeah, I've been kind of curious, we talked about the Prey movie a bit, and examining it as a whole series is interesting, the different takes that people look at when making the movie.
Twisted Bishop just said, when are we getting a baby predator hunting a toddler? I think that there should be a baby predator versus honey badger. I think that would be amazing.
That's what you have to take in order to survive that part of your childhood as a baby predator.
Yes.
Are they Spartans now?
Yes. All right. Well, you all have a great night. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye.